of attempting to please my father from a 3-year-old's perspective.
So you have to be incompetent and all those things in order to please him, huh? What was your contract?
To feel more competent.
Yeah.
Okay. And the problem is, when you feel more confident, then you may get fewer and fewer strokes from him. So it's a trade-off. Which is most important?
To feel more competent.
All right.
You sure?
To feel more competent.
And then you can't be Daddy's baby. Or his cute little brown-eyed little girl who was so darling and who depended on him for everything. You're going to have to give that one up, huh? You look sad.
Yeah, I am sad.
Yeah.
It's a part of my life that I remember being the best part of my life when I was a child.
I bet you. I bet that's so.
It was the only time in my life I felt validated by my parents, my father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Say this to him. Say this to him.
The only time in my life that I felt validated by you is when I was 3, 4 years old.
And now?
And now I feel real distanced from you,
Mm-hmm.
like you don't know who I am.
And that's so. You're going off into a different world.
Is it
You could-
okay?
you-
Is it okay to be competent even if he doesn't like it?
Well, there's something else, honey. She could, if she really wants him, I'll bet you could get a job as a secretary in the water department.
He tried to get me a job as a secretary. And he said, I was having a real hard time. I was trying to get a job, and I really wanted to go to school instead. And I remember that I dropped out of school to please you because I didn't want to hassle. I didn't want to deal with the daily bullshit. And I remember the time you gave me, you told me to go, I was 19 years old, and you told me to go to the water department and tell them that your daddy sent you.
And shake your head again. Okay, will you thank him?
Yeah, thanks for doing the best you knew how to do, giving the information that you had.
Yeah.
And it's not what I wanted.
And now? Is it what you want now?
I have what I want now. And I know that that's confusing for you sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry for you, but that's the way it is.
Would you stand up and feel your power? And tell some of the people here in the workshop I have what I want now.
I have what I want now.
It's okay for me to be competent?
And it's okay for me to be confident.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true. It feels good.
And where is your heart now? Is it back where it belongs?
Yeah, it's back in here.
So anytime you start feeling incompetent, will you remember that your heart's in the right place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bob, we tell us something about the Braggs. I know you've often started that way, and it was fun to see it again.
Almost every morning, when we're doing 1 week, 2 week, 4 week workshops, almost every morning we have Braggs. Every time the whole group together we have Braggs, perhaps it's in the afternoon sometimes. And that's because we like to start off work on a high note, on an excited note, to get people moving out of anxiety into excitement and enthusiasm. And because so often, so many patients and so many therapists spend all their time talking about pathology. I like to start off with a good, lively, enthusiastic start.
Not stroking the pathology.
Not stroking the pathology, right on.
Okay. In terms of the work that the two of you did with Anne. I thought it was a lovely piece of work, and one of the things I liked in it was the way that you identified the injunction using the parent interview to do that. And I was curious if you had an idea when you started working with her what the injunction was going to be.
Yes, and I was wrong. I assumed that the injunction would be, don't be a girl, and that her feeling of never quite making it would be based on no matter how good she wasn't a boy. That was my original supposition, and I'm very often wrong. That's why it's important not to use what I guess, but instead what the patient tells. And her obvious injunction was don't grow up. And a corollary to that is don't feel like you made it. She certainly has made it in life. She's very successful for her age. But she doesn't feel as if she does, and that's why she's anxious.
Yeah, and the day before, I had her in supervision work as a therapist, as she reported during the brags. And she started off scared. And then once she started to work, she did beautiful work. So I saw that it had to do more with as Mary did, with not experiencing excitement or not experiencing making it, rather than actually not making it.
I thought it was such a good demonstration, too, of one of the classic female scripting issues where, you know, the strokes are for staying little, for not being competent.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That really showed through.
And I felt she was very strong in her feeling it was okay for her to be competent and feel competent, and okay if Daddy didn't love her for that.
So you thought there was a redecision
I
within?
thought certainly she was well into it, and it's pretty hard to tell. I used my awareness of the way the body looks and the way the people have their faces look, the excitement that goes into their muscle structure and so on as part of my evidence. But she's the only one that can tell us.
The only thing I particularly want to emphasize in this piece of work was the importance of recognizing that it isn't always a positive to change.
Right, the dilemma that was shown.
The dilemma
That's
was
right.
beautiful in here.
And that's why I'm sorry, go ahead.
She loves Daddy. I think she can learn how to go home to Daddy and be a soft little girl.
That's how we first started with the idea of the redecision must come from the child. Because if you don't get it from the child, if you only get it from the adult, which is not really a redecision, but if you only get it from the adult, you're not bringing the child into the work. And she would sabotage every time. And so she's actually involved in feeling the pain of giving up the position which she's had since she was a small child.
Yeah, the part I liked, Mary, in what you said was the choice of going home and doing that and not being stuck where she feels like she's controlled and the only way she can do it is to stay little in her whole life and compromise herself.
Right.
One other thing I just wanted to ask, Mary, I've seen you do it before, and you did it in this piece when you did that lovely thing about maybe your dad could get you a job as the secretary in the water department. And where does that intuition come from?
I didn't know Father had actually offered to do this.
Let's go on to Larry.
Okay, we're only going to do a short piece of the work that we did with Larry in the film for a lot of reasons. The thing I want to show you is what difference there is between the adapted and free child with a little tiny thing. And I want you to watch. He talks sometimes with his head over his shoulder like so. And if you ask him to put his head on straight, then he sounds entirely differently, and his words are different, and his body looks different, and he makes a real change in ego states. It's a lovely transition, and this happens a lot of the time. So I wanted to call people's attention to how important it is to have your head on straight when you're working.
Are you saying this is his adapted child?
Well, I don't know.
Yes.
I think with him, I think that when his left ear is down, he's an adapted child, and when his right ear is down, he's in his parent.
Okay, let's see it.
Okay.
There's no good way, that's right. But I think the thing that I started to look at is that whether there's a good way to resolve it or not, I can feel good about it.
You can feel good about what?
I can feel good about myself, and that I am free to make some decisions that...
Before you say any more, I notice that your head is cocked way over to the left. And you put it on straight and say that again.
Okay, I am free to make some decisions for my life.
Wow! Stand up and say that.
I am free to make some decisions for my life that can make mine different than my parents and my grandparents.
Okay, Mara, what do you want to change?
I want to work on.
No, not work
I
on.
want to change my my tendency to sabotage relationships.
Like how? What's an example?
When I began dating a girlfriend and I like her a lot, somehow I began to make demands and I began to criticize, and I see after the fact that that's one of the ways that I mess him up. The
So
relationships.
You criticize and she takes off?
No, she doesn't take off. It's kind of backs off, and I interpret that as not interested anymore in the relationship, and I also back off too.
And what do you then take a specific time, get it in your head, okay? A specific woman, specific time she backs off. You don't have to talk about it, but you got it?
Yes.
Okay, and she leaves and you leave and the relationship ends, huh?
Yes.
And what do you then say in your head about her?
Well, I actually blame myself more than I think more about myself.
Okay, what do you first then? What do you say about you?
I blew it.
I blew it. And what do you say about her?
She didn't understand me.
Okay.
And what do you feel?
Rejected.
The
I
what?
feel angry first, and then I
You
get.
feel angry?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you think I've been rejected, because that's not a feeling, that's a thinking.
Yes.
And when you think that you've been rejected, is there a feeling that goes with that too? You feel something with that, or is it all anger?
No, I feel very sad.
Sad, okay. So you end up feeling sad and angry and feel badly about what you've done, and mostly blame yourself for the whole
Right.
transaction. Okay. Is that familiar when you're growing up?
Oh yeah.
Like how?
That was mostly with my father. Like
Go ahead.
I would try to do something to please him, and since I won't please him, then I retreated.
And you what?
I would retreat.
Retreat.
Yeah.
Okay.
To protect myself.
So you retreat from your father when he criticizes you, like your girlfriends retreat from you when you criticize them.
Right.
So it sounds like you're acting like your father.
Yeah, I am.
What do you want to do?
I want to change that. I want to stop that because I have messed up good relationships.
So you want to stop making love from your father instead of your little kid, huh? Because that's what I hear you doing is transacting with them like your father transacted with you. So would you say this to him? I want to stop being like you. Put him there in front of you. Whatever your words are.
I'm gonna stop being like you did.
Say some more.
I'm gonna stop behaving like you behave with my stepmother, with my mother, and with the other wife. How you rejected them too, and how you put distance with them.
Would you experiment with in the present tense instead of the future tense? I'm stopping.
I'm stopping behaving like you do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna reject women like you do.
Yeah.
I don't want to be afraid of women like you do. Well, I don't know you do or not, but
Are you afraid?
of being close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What bad can happen?
What would happen?
What bad can happen?
My
Defects will come out.
You mean if you really get close and you really trust, the person will end up to be someone like your father who says, you stutter.
You got it.
So it's
Well,
better.
not a stutter, but you have something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like your father. And then you're and then you're very sad. So it's easier not to be close.
Safe.
Yeah. So, want to do something risky? And test, test out whether everybody you pick in the world is like your father?
Yes, I want to stop this. I want to stop behaving. I want to stop not being intimate.
Of course. What happened with you and your mother? Was she close to you?
No, she wasn't.
So you really didn't have anybody that taught you that it's safe to love. Because little kids love to love.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations that you're making the attempts.
I'm fed up with feeling alone.
I bet you are. So the easiest way to go about this is backwards. And what I mean by that is when you notice you've made a demand and you notice the woman has backed off, will you tell her, hey, for a moment I got scared.
Mm-hmm.
And tell her what you're feeling. Go ahead. Try it out.
For a moment, I got scared that you would find out that I do have problems.
That I'm not perfect, huh?
I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Does that feel different?
I've kind of feel also threatened to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are you willing to be a bit threatened in this life?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Oh, you know, maybe she'll turn out to be a jerk who says, "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh." Then he'll find it out, he'll be lucky, and he'll look for somebody else. Are you willing?
One more rejection?
Are you willing? Because then you'd be doing it differently.
If that's what I need to do to change my pattern, yes.
What do you think?
I need to change that, yes. I want to change that.
Because I bet you it does feel very naked and vulnerable to take off the armor that your father wore.
Yep, I do feel very vulnerable at times.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with how you're admitting that here. And my suggestion is it all right to admit it to someone that you're establishing a loving relationship